Back to the daily grind. The channel's getting false flagged by triggered trolls, so make sure you subscribe to the new channel. Let's get to the MMA news. You guys, I got a big announcement. I'm putting a rest. RIP to the Daniel Cormier meme. Yep, I said it. You could give me a Daniel Cormier meme right now for that shit, because I got to, man. It's different. I just listened to Daniel Cormier on the MMA Hour. He just spoke. The episode's only been on for 30 minutes, but I have to go to work soon, so I'm not going to be able to watch the whole interview. So I'm going to do what I can before work. But I just watched it, and man, it didn't rub me right to listen. You know, there's a difference now to me. Remember, I was telling you, now the MMA world has our own meme, but there's a difference when you listen to Daniel Cormier speak. He says he didn't remember those 10 minutes of his life. From the point he got knocked out all the way to back to the locker room, he doesn't remember any of that. He doesn't remember crying. He doesn't remember pushing Big John. He doesn't remember getting screamed at by Dana White. He doesn't remember walking around the octagon. He doesn't remember crying. He doesn't remember any of that. So I can't joke about that now that I know that. I didn't before. I didn't know how much he remembered. I didn't know if once he got up and he was walking around, if he was, able to remember, if he was going to be able to remember that. I wasn't even thinking about that. I didn't know if he wasn't. I mean, I've never had a concussion. I've already said that. So I didn't know if it was, how long it lasted or any of that shit. So I was just, joking and making comedy humor out of the fact that, it was like the Michael Jordan meme. I said I picked Daniel Cormier to win that fight. It had nothing to do with, me not liking Daniel Cormier or being evil or nothing like that. It was just comedy to me. But now that I see and know that he doesn't remember any of that, and he was just straight concussed, and he says he doesn't know if he'll ever get those moments in his life back, which, I mean, I kind of disagree with, because if you watch, those moments are on camera, so they're not going anywhere. But you see what I'm saying? But still, I'm not going to joke about somebody that was concussed fucking that badly. So I'm not going to use the Daniel Cormier. I'm still fine with other people who use it. I don't give a fuck. It's comedy, but I'm just personally not going to use it now that I know he was fucking literally concussed out of his mind, doesn't remember 10 minutes of his life, and that's when the meme came from. Whenever I was just looking at it as like the Michael Jordan meme, that was, it was hilarious. But Michael Jordan wasn't concussed when he was crying, so it's a different story. I mean, even though Daniel Cormier did come out and say, I've cried after every wrestling match I've ever lost. I cry when I lose. So even he would have cried whether or not he was concussed. It's just that meme specifically came from him being like straight concussed. I mean, I might bring it back for like if it's super hilarious, but I'm not going to bring it back just every time somebody's like sad or salty or triggered. But if it's something that's super hilarious, don't be surprised if that motherfucker shows up. But I'm just not going to really use it that much at all anymore, because I mean, he did say he cries every time he loses, and I'm not going to fucking lie. Hey, I'm that fucking. When I was growing up, I used to cry a lot. Like, every time my fucking mom would cry, if I would see it, I would fucking cry and shit. So, I mean, like I said, it was just a joke to me. I don't give a fuck that he cries. That's not a big deal to me. I don't give a fuck. And I know a lot of people cry and shit, but that's not the big deal to me. It was just the meme that it was hilarious. So, moving on, what he talked about a lot, man. He broke his silence on the entire UFC 214 loss. He talked about, John Jones has been coming out, and it's like he's been Daniel Cormier's biggest fan lately. He's been talking about, I want to be friends with Daniel Cormier now that the rivalry's over. There's not enough black men in this sport. We need to, we don't need to be beefing with the rivalry being over and all this stuff. And John Jones has been one of Daniel Cormier. He's been cheering him up, cheering him on. Well, Daniel Cormier, he had something to say about that. He said, I don't know if me and John Jones will ever be cool again. He said, I mean, after, he said some hurtful stuff, so I don't know about that as far as that. I don't know. I mean, I understand what he's saying, but at the same time, he's also said some hurtful shit. I don't know if I can get past that. That's interesting. I mean, even though he was concussed in the ring, he said, I guess there's no rivalry, since he beat me both times. But that's, I mean, only somewhat true. Somewhat true. Some people don't want to see another fight. But if they open up a 225-pound division, would Daniel Cormier fare better there? Who knows? People would still watch the third fight. But Daniel Cormier said he has a lot of other options. He said, I mean, I could fight Jimmy Manuwa next. I could fight Volkan Ozdemir if that's the easiest path to the title again. I could fight at heavyweight. I mean, I've got a lot of options. I'm not done fighting. That's one thing I know. And he said, not only am I not done fighting, I believe I'll fight Jon Jones again. And, you know, that's interesting. That kind of explains why he doesn't want to end the beef with Jon Jones. That kind of explains it. You know, he's like, you know, when Jon Jones has been being real nice, but he can't come on and say, you know, I appreciate Jon Jones. You know, I thank him for all the support. Maybe we can be friends, and then say, but we will fight again. No, he can't be. You can't come out and be cool until after the third fight if that's your plans. And with all the money he's made off of Jon Jones fights, of course they would both fight again. You know, Jon Jones would fight again. It's like, I already beat him twice. Of course I'll fight him again. And it's like, if you want some smoke, I'll fight you again, buddy, for this much money, because he doesn't have a rivalry as big as Daniel Cormier. I mean, aside from the Brock Lesnar fight, what's the biggest Jon Jones fight possible? Gustafsson, and then probably a Cormier rematch. And Daniel Cormier and Jon Jones are definitely not going to fight again immediately. This could happen 2 years from now, because Daniel Cormier is about 38 years to 40 years old. So, I mean, he's not going to be fighting for another 5-10 years. So it would have to happen in the next 2018, 2019, but that's very possible. If the UFC opens up a 225-pound division in 2018, Daniel Cormier could become the champion, the inaugural champion, and then Jon Jones could want to become a two-weight champion and move up to take that belt from Cormier. Boom. There you go. That's how the fight could happen again. Daniel Cormier would be better off at 225 pounds than he would be at 265 versus Stipe. Stipe and these guys couldn't make 225. So Daniel Cormier could rule 225 until Jon Jones decided to make the jump. And then who knows if Jon Jones would be as dominant versus Daniel Cormier if Daniel Cormier is able to have more weight, more bulk, more muscle, whatever you want. I mean, some people are going to say more fat, but no. I mean, Daniel Cormier's fought at heavyweight before, and he was undefeated there. So Jon Jones hasn't. You can't say that. So I'm just saying it's already interesting. Happen next? No. I want to see personally Jon Jones versus Alexander Gustafsson. Daniel Cormier needs to take a little bit of time off because that was a bad concussion. You guys heard the microwave on the Big Brother Beatdown say, you know, man, Jon Jones, just the, you know, it looked like how many extra shots he took. I mean, even the referee came out and apologized. I should have stopped at 2 punches earlier. That was a big concussion he took. He said he took some minor breaks to his nose, but nothing serious. And he also, you know, just had some sore shins. But other than that, man, there's nothing wrong with Daniel Cormier besides, you know, he's going to have to take some time off for the concussion and a little bit of heels in his nose. But other than that, he's good. I wonder, it's interesting. I wonder if we're going to start to know when these new weight classes are coming around. Hopefully sooner rather than later, because I think that's the best. That would be the best scenario if Daniel Cormier was able to become the 225-pound champion and then move on to fight Jon Jones, move up to become a two-weight world champion at 225 versus Daniel Cormier. Bigger Daniel Cormier who's got the belt. That would be so fucking good. I would love that if that happened. But who are some other suitors for 225 pounds for Daniel Cormier? Who are some heavyweights you think that could make 225? Would Rumble come back at 225? Interesting. I mean, that's the same thing. Daniel Cormier has beat Rumble twice. Jon Jones has beat Cormier twice. So, would they play out, both of those fights play out the same at 225? I'm interested in Jon Jones versus Cormier at 225. What about Rumble versus Cormier? Would it be worse for Rumble? Would he have more of a shot? I think it would be better for Cormier in that fight versus Rumble, because I think he would beat Rumble again at 225, but still. What about Rumble versus Jones at 205? Could Rumble come back to 205 after Gustafsson? I mean, that's a potential Jon Jones fight right there. Aside from Gustafsson, Rumble Johnson, they haven't fought yet. Jon Jones probably win that. He'd be the favorite, but I would definitely love to see it. I know a lot of people would. So, I mean, man, it's good to hear from Daniel Cormier today. He said some other things. I think I'm going to do one separate video because he covered a lot. But this is pretty much just talking about how he said not only does he think him and Jon Jones will fight again, or not only does he think he'll fight again, because a lot of people thought he might retire because he's, you know, he can ruin his legacy coming back. Undefeated at heavyweight, only lost to Jon Jones. Now he's got to come back and put that undefeated except for to Jon Jones on the line versus some guys, because he said he's going to have to do something spectacular to get the Jon Jones fight. He already knows, and he said he will do it. You know what's spectacular to me? becoming the 225-pound champion once it opens up. And then that would be a spectacular trilogy fight, even though he has a chance at going 0-3, like, you know, BJ Penn versus Frankie Edgar. It would still be big because it would be at a bigger weight for another belt for Jon Jones. It would be a huge fight. I think it could be as successful as this Daniel Cormier Jon Jones fight if it was at another weight class for another belt. So I think that would be spectacular. Daniel Cormier, he's got the right mindset now that he's not concussed out of his brains anymore. He's sounding good, man. He's coming out. He's on his honeymoon and stuff, but he's sounding good. He knows what he needs to do, and he's interested in the Jon Jones rematch. He's not interested in settling or squashing the beef. No, thank you. I want to fight you again. I'll do something spectacular to get the fight again. And I'm out of money, and that will make me some more. I think, that would definitely be a great end to Daniel Cormier's career if he could do it. Even if he lost again, man, you got to put respect on his name for everything he's accomplished. What if he's able to come in and beat 2 more people that are not named Jon Jones and then become the 225-pound champion? Daniel Cormier would be a 2-weight champion, undefeated at 3 divisions, champion at 2 divisions. Only person he ever lost to was the GOAT. Even if he lost to the GOAT 3 times, Daniel Cormier would be in that top 5 of all time. Just if he's able to do that 225 move, that would be so good. That's what I just thought about that doing this video, but that's definitely what I'm interested in seeing. Daniel Cormier at 225 pounds, fresh start. But now the question is, when is that coming? With that being said, it is what it is. Let the hitters know what the fuck you tab at and what you think about Daniel Cormier and his Ariel Helwani interview. It's on MMA Fighting. It's not even out yet. It's live right now, but you can go probably rewind it and watch it. But yeah, man, what do you think about what all the stuff Daniel Cormier had to say in the comments, dude? By the way, I don't know if I mentioned this before I get out of here. I've got a shift. I finally got a fucking work shift. It's the summer, so there's not many shifts, so I got to take them when I can get them. So I got a shift today, even though today would have been a good day to have off for the channel because Paulie Malinugi's coming on MMA Hour again. Cody Garbrandt's on there. Daniel Cormier was on there, man. It's actually a big episode this week, so I would have liked to responded to it sooner rather than later, but I need this fucking money from work, man, because I got bills to pay, so you know what it is. Until one day when this motherfucker's all the way full-time channel, and we can motherfucking rock and we got ads or some shit to help pay for this shit and I can do this shit the day of, it is what it is. I'll get to Paulie Malinugi after work. Let me know what you think in the comments. I already said that shit. I'm out. A fat woman was at a grocery store picking over frozen turkeys but couldn't find one big enough for her family. So she asked the stock boy, "Do these turkeys get any bigger?" The stock boy answered, "No, they're dead."